After you've added assets to a composition and created some layers within that composition, you want to view that composition in the Composition or Comp panel. So I'm going to show you how to do that in this lesson, as well as how to adjust some properties in both the Composition panel and the Timeline panel. I already have After Effects open here. I want you to open up a project. So go up to File, Open Project, and then go to your Materials folder, the After Effects Project folder, and double-click on 03 Adjusting Comp. That opens up this fairly basic comp here. It has a video of the coastline that's viewed on here. Since it's set to fit, adjusts accordingly. Now it's down to 20%, now it's down to 16.7, like that. I'll reset my workspace by going up here to this little menu and clicking on Reset the Saved Layout. So when it's set to fit, if you change the size of the comp, it compensates for that. But you can zoom in and zoom out on this view of this comp. And you can do that in a couple of ways. Going down here to this drop-down list and change the percentage here. Let's say we'll change it to 12.5. Now you can see all the way around it here. And you would do this typically if you have a large asset that goes beyond the edges of your viewing area. And you might want to see the borders there and then manipulate that based upon where those borders are. If I want to go back to the fit view, of course I can go down to this drop-down list here and then choose fit. There's a keyboard shortcut to go back to fit, and that's Shift/. Shift/ like that takes me back to fit. But I also might want to zoom in on my comp. I can go back to here, and let's say go to 100%, for example. And this shows how the comp would look at full resolution. Now my screen here is 1280 by 720, so this actually goes beyond the edge of my screen even. But I can use this if I want to zoom in on an area. And if I want to move things around to a particular place, I want to move here in that panel. I would typically do this if I've zoomed in on it. Now if I want to zoom in a particular area quickly, I can use the Zoom tool. This is the Zoom tool up here. You can click on it, and then wherever you click here, it'll zoom in that spot. Like that. I'm going to go back to fit by doing Shift/. I can also describe an area to zoom in on by simply clicking and dragging, and it'll zoom to that area. If I want to zoom out, I can hold the Alt or the Option key and click and zoom out like that. And keep on zooming out until it gets really small. I'll go back to fit by doing Shift/. The keyboard shortcut for the zoom tool is Z. So if I go back to the selection tool by clicking on the selection tool, and I want to go back to the zoom tool, if I hold the Z key down without releasing it, it temporarily turns on the zoom tool. I can define an area by just clicking and dragging, zoom in like that, and let go of the Z key, and it goes back to the selection tool. I'm going to go back to fit by doing Shift/. So let's move on to some of the properties down here at the bottom. For the most part, we'll cover these individually as we go through the course, but I do want to show you a couple of them. This one here talks about the resolution, and the resolution is directly related to your view. Right now my view is set to 31.9%, and so the resolution that would play back here if it's set to auto, which mine is about 1/3. So it doesn't try to play more pixels than are available in the current view. So I just set my resolution to auto, so it plays back the appropriate amount of pixels depending on how much I've zoomed in on the view. We'll talk about the toggle transparency grid button here later in the course when we have some transparent objects in there. We'll talk about the active camera, and the view is really powerful and handles things relatively well, so I leave it like that. To view things in the comp panel, you do it down here in the timeline. You can drag the current time indicator through here like this. It's called scrubbing. And you can see the ocean waves kind of rolling in there as I do this. And the camera shakes a little bit because it was a very windy day when I shot this. You can also play the video rather than scrub through it by just pressing the space bar and letting go. It used to be that previews like this did not go that smoothly, but with the more recent versions of After Effects, the folks at Adobe have really improved the preview quality of After Effects. You might notice this green bar that shows up here as you preview things. This just means that you're now storing your preview in RAM and or on your hard drive. It's a little complicated to explain all the technology behind this little bar here, but when you see the green bar like that, or a blue bar, it pretty much means that when you play this back, it's going to play back smoothly. Let's just take a look down here in the timeline panel at these little guys here. This group of things is called switches, and for the most part you probably won't be using switches, and you can turn off display of the switches if you want. As we go through the course, we'll work with a few of them. This is the 3D switch. Turning on this switch allows you to change a layer to an adjustment layer. This applies motion blur, for example, and they don't actually work until you both check this box and then turn it on up here. So it's kind of a two-step process. I'm going to turn that off by clicking on that and turn that off as well. And so you might not need to have those switches visible. And you can turn the switches off by clicking this little button down here in the lower left-hand side there. It gets rid of the switches. I like to have mine visible because I do access them with some regularity, but you might want to switch yours off. So I'm going to switch mine back on like that. This group over here controls some aspects of your layers, and the default view when you start up After Effects for the first time might have this group over here. you might see them on this side. I'm going to drag them to the right here. That might be the way that your default view starts. I like to have them on my left side like that. So I'll just drag it to the left like that. The eyeballs turn off visibility for a layer, so if I click this eyeball, turn off the text, you won't see the text anymore like that. This is called the solo button. If I click on that, it solos that, meaning it shows only that, but you can have multiple soloed things. You don't have to have just one. Turning the speaker icon on or off switches the audio on or off. I have the speaker icon turned off for the coastline so you don't hear the waves going by. If I turn that on, you'll hear waves along with the music. I'll turn the music off so you can hear that. I'll turn that off now and get back to the music like that. You might see a whole bunch of other stuff over here to the right, some columns and things. If you click this toggle switches and modes button, they'll either be visible or go away, depending. But you can also have multiple columns appear here to the right if you want to. I'll right click here and show columns. You have all these possible columns to be visible there. For the most part, you won't work with these, and so I keep these turned off. Let's just say you have parent turned on, for example. You can get rid of that column by right-clicking on it and saying hide this. So my suggestion to you is to keep these things relatively simple. You might want to turn the switches off by clicking this over here, and just have that basic view in your layers panel. That wraps up this module. In this module, I explained how you can set up new compositions or comps. Then I showed you how to add assets to a comp and create some specialized After Effects layers within a comp. And finally, I showed you how to adjust some comp panel and timeline panel properties.